In some detail, an incident in which you had a 12.7 millimeter machine gun pointed at you, along with another lieutenant, and set the stage and what happens.
Yeah, sure. The we were in a meeting, and we were in a sync meeting where all the A-team commanders get together with Captain Lyons, and we were just talking about progress and where we were going. And Lieutenant Bradley leans in. He comes in the room and he says, by the way, he looks at me and says, and he goes, your IPs are about to kill each other. He goes, I'm not joking. So we immediately jump up, and Sace is obviously more intelligent than I am, as he went to get his flak. I did not. So I went out there and literally crossed the threshold of just looking outside, and Hamid was there. Hamid was there with a with a machine gun pointed at my chest.
At 12.7, that's a millimeter machine gun. That's basically 50 caliber machine gun.
Yeah, I mean, it could probably go a foot to the right of me and still rip my arm off. So obviously, I wasn't pleased about this situation, but the last thing I want to do is escalate. Sace quickly came out there as well, and he was very excited or displeased to see the 12.7 at his chest.
This was Lieutenant Falk, was it?
Yeah, Falk. And, Hamid, he was obviously on drugs, and he was obviously on some sort of upper, as he usually was. He was on speed or coke or one of those things. And, he was just completely going crazy. I mean,
And what date was this?
This must have been, I would say this was June. Let's see, it was, yeah. So this was May or June, probably June, because Hamid was still at Azazia. So we both walk out there at this point. We're both outside, and we just keep walking to Colonel Hamid, and we kind of give him a little hug and kind of try to de-escalate the situation. It took quite a while to de-escalate that situation because both sets of IPs did want to kill each other. What happened is Colonel Hamid tried to get on the base armed. My IPs at Sabotage at that point wouldn't let him on until he disarmed and all his PSD disarmed, which they were instructed to do. Either way, it got out of hand. Hamid was displeased by the situation, went back, got the entire Azazia station and apparently a 12.7, and came back, and that's how the situation came. But the impressive part,
and these are two different clans themselves.
Yeah, and that is
they had strife beforehand.
Yeah, that was important to note. The Sabotage guys, a majority of them were from Jazeera. They were from Jazeera, which is just north of Ramadi proper, whereas Azazia, all those guys and a majority of the IPs in Lima sector were actually from Ramadi proper and were Bagoods, which is a sub-tribe of the Jesus, it's been a while. Bagood sub-tribe of the I don't know.
They were smuggling. They
were traditionally oil smugglers. Yeah, I'm sure they're lovely men though.
How do you spell the two tribes?
Oh, just make it up because it doesn't matter. But Bagood, I have no idea.
Fair enough. And so, you de-escalated the situation. Can you remember some of the words that were passed in that?
A lot of Habibi, which is lover, which is apparently not gay, but just hey, we'll take care of it. Let the Marines. We'll punish who needs to be punished. Yeah, we had no translator out there. No translator in their right mind would walk out there at that point. So,
Right.
you know, just by kind of getting in the middle of all this, we finally calmed him down. But I was most impressed by the Marines. The Marines were well within their right to fire their weapons. They were well within their right to just clear the streets by any means necessary at that point. You know, especially you know, as Marines are walking out there. Now we're literally in the middle of this. So now they certainly had hostile intent. And they certainly had a PID. So,
and those are elements of the rules of engagement.
Right. So you need hostile act or hostile intent,
Right.
and then positive identification before you can pull the trigger.
Right. And then you had Marines overwatching.
Right.
From the.
Yeah. So this is happening on the street right in front of the base, and then we have Marines all in the back, you know, literally getting ready to fire because they have no idea what's going on. But they didn't fire because they understood the situation. They understood that that one round and that really that would actually escalate the situation beyond all belief. I mean, that could have started an entire war back up again. So.
And so what we want to do is, there's 5 topics we kind of hit briefly before. We have about 45 minutes on this tape anyway. Restructuring at the platoon level is number 1. Number 2 would be kind of the new concept of the lieutenant and certain skills that are particularly useful, such as education. 3 would be kind of the new concept of infantry. You know, not one round was fired during this last deployment. 4th would be war via proxy, namely the Iraqi police. And then 5th would be insurgents who tried to make it into the town. So if you could, you know, roughly 7 or 8 minutes, give or take, for each of those on average.
What was one again? Sorry, is it
restructuring at the platoon level?
Yeah, restructuring at the platoon level.
We talked this morning about, you know, breaking the company from the perspective of the company commander, and he gave you a lot of credit for your development of the A-team, you know, details, and even went so far as going into the meeting where you had your NCOs brief that plan.
Yeah, which I'm sure he was surprised by, but yeah. So the you know, at the platoon level, it's pretty dynamic because you're literally ripping apart the platoon, and this squad leader is now acting almost as a platoon commander, because what's interesting is in an A-team concept, the lieutenant is the almost a company commander because he has his Marines and then he has a 100-man IP station, or in some cases you have Iraqi army